It's because of emotional starvation that we do this. There's an aspect inside of ourselves that is crying child, and it won't stop. The mental illness professions and the addictions professions, that's some serious enlightenment stuff. I mean, the principles anyway. But you can't get it from a human being. That's why all these different methods don't work. Me won't work. You can only get it from somebody that's beyond energy. So there's a sea of psychic magnetism between yourself and your relationships and what's in the future and what's now. And your strategy is to get the attention, to get the energy, and to get on with it. And real enlightenment is exactly opposite of that. It's total surrender to not just the wind and the dolphins and so forth, but sages, saints. That's why I'm in your life, is to try to get that through to you before I go my own way. You've got to find out what that means and not use it as a piece of energy food again, because that's the next thing you do. As soon as you figure out that sages and saints have the most power, then the next thing you do is, yeah, I'm going to be locked into that. You go to Amaji, there's more nuts or whatever around a real sage, that is total big light, big mosquitoes. Very, very rare true discipledom. So the inner people around the Amaji, for example, or other people like Thich Nhat Hanh, and I wouldn't consider him full-blown out there kind of miraculous power sage saint, but certain things. For Amaji as an example, and Thich Nhat Hanh relates to this in a strong measure, but Amaji is the best one that I know. The people that are the core disciples, wow. They're all like super intelligent, multiple PhD people, and their eyes are unbelievable, and they're so focused, and they listen so well. I've never seen a class of people like that. Never. That's why I know what works from the School of Hard Knocks. Coming from desperation, utter desperation, what's going to heal me? Psychiatrist, psychologist, this, that ain't keeping up with me. Educated person ain't keeping up with me. So I found that the only thing is something that's beyond intelligence. Now, outside the inner circle of these kinds of like super beings, then you've got the masses, and it just attracts total nuts. So to find your way into the inner circle, you got to go through, you name the teacher. I did retreats with them, right? Mostly. Every major tradition available. And that's it. That's the only thing that shuts me up, because it's the only thing that has enough power. Besides that, I'll keep on asserting myself. Blah, 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 blah. So this is the message of this course, Now in Jesus land, Becky! In Jesus land, Andrea's all Jesused up now. We did it, Maggie. You two got to get together and play with each other's hair or something, whatever you do. Yeah, she's all, Maggie, you got an opportunity now to this thing called witnessing. You know what witnessing means? Witnessing means how you live your life. Really. And then, of course, witnessing for Jesus, that's something I like. And witnessing for any super one, but don't say that. So what a wonderful thing to get the words from something like the Four Noble Truths, Jules, and the Noble Eightfold Path. You read that 50,000 times, like any sage or saint. In Sikhism, the Grant, how do you call it, Upinder?
The Granth Sahib.
The Granth Sahib. You know, that's a daily, still doing the daily recitation?
Yes, every night.
Very nice. And the next little thing, if you like to hear it, if not, just write it on toilet paper and throw it out, is emotional enchanting. So any person that attained the level of like supernatural stuff, and I think that's what we all need around here, they say the same thing again, 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 again. So you've got these people in different traditions, and then you have these scriptures. And the pathway to that is your my favorites list. But I think, you know, we've all been together a while. You can realize the bridge between the my favorites list and darshan. Now, I can assure you that this is the most important thing in your life. And that you're going to need to connect with me or somebody like me to remember it. Unless, of course, you don't need that. You don't need me or someone like me. But if you make it happen, that you become surrendered to some source, something, now it's no longer the fight to not honor people, for example. No matter what somebody does for you, they could do everything for you. Don't honor them, right? Why? Because the mind is total erratic, everything, and it only wants complete self-acknowledgement. It doesn't want actually honoring somebody else for giving you life, for giving you the path, or giving you healing. It just doesn't do that. Human psyche doesn't do that. Crackhead. Total, absolute consummation and addiction. That's what the human mind is. But it doesn't work because you're filling up a broken vessel. You remember the woman that had the disease and touched the hem of Jesus's garment? And then Jesus said, I know she was healed because he perceived that power went out of him. That's magnetic power. You're not going to get magnetic power of the racing mind all the time. And subject-object consummation. I only want more. I never bow my head, and I'm a follower and a student. You can't get magnetic power that way. Because, as we've discussed, the magnetic power that you are fuels the distortions from the crying child and the non-reverence for the integrity of human beings and all these kinds of different issues that we have. So you just suck up power and you also animate the holes in the boat. It's kind of like you put pumps in the holes in the boat to remove the power even faster because of never surrendering. So, Om Babaji Babaji. So that's how you do it, you know. What Andrea said. You realize what a teacher is and this kind of thing. And if there's a tradition and all the real deal stuff, that means lineages, that means transmissions, that means training. That doesn't mean somebody talking. And in that tradition of real stuff, where a desperate person is the only possible hope. I don't know about y'all, but it seems like the whole world's desperate to me. But you always honor those before. So Drabwang Rinpoche, you know, retreats with him whom the Dalai Lama says the greatest living meditation master, lived in a cave 30 years, did that, been there, done that. I know that. Thich Nhat Hanh retreats, and Padre Pio Center, go to the Beatles, blah, 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 blah. So really, it's not me that learned anything. I don't believe in myself anymore. You believe in yourself? What are you, nuts? It's something beyond your mind that you need to believe in. To believe in yourself is augmented by love and education that's pure. That's not subject object. That's a conduit, that's a flow. Then you can, find the real self-confidence and all of that. But the way to, let's say, fix a car, or the way to do something, is constantly working on the growing edges. So this whole idea, the whole teaching that you get from ordinary people that makes you feel better, it's because you don't want to face that you have problems. You have to stay with the reality that you need love, that you need education, and you become a conduit then. And where does that lead you? Real teachers and real transmissions and real lineages. It doesn't lead you anywhere else. I'm giving you the logic of how it works, enlightenment. So now, if you're working on this one and that one and whatever, and you have this real deal thing going on, you lead a life of self-reinvention, not augmenting yourself so that you're more impervious and you're going to make your, like martial arts. It's not the person that's got the most muscles or powerful. It's the person that is smooth and loose and coherent. But it all comes down to where the pointing finger is. Who was talking about the pointing finger? I think it was Andrea. I forget. Or no, Jules. There's a pointing finger conversation. So that's the step one. Now, if you're honest, just for a moment, you could see that your mind only tries to kind of justify itself. That's like the practice, But if somebody comes in your life and cares about you, all of a sudden the bubble bursts and you see what an ass you are. And now power comes in and you get magic because you're a conduit of life. Psalm 51, Maggie. All right, let's go to questions because I want to be fairly concise today if I can. Whoever wants to go.
I got a question.
Okay.
All right. First of all, I thought maybe you'd answered the question just now. I'm like, wait a minute, he's answering my questions. But at this point, I want to be teachable, and I don't trust this anything in my head that says I think I know the answer already. So I'm going to ask the question anyways. How do I let go of the want for more? And how do I become humble so that I can self-reinvent?
That's the whole point. You can't. That's how you do it, is you realize you can't do it. That's the magic. As soon as you think you can do it, or you did learn, or you did do it, then it's not good. It's not a good future. But when you realize that, oh gosh, I need to try again to be more receptive and to give up resentment and bitterness, because that's the strategy of the mind. You become resentful and bitter toward him or her or this or that, and then you use that. Oh yeah, I'm going to overcome him. You're going to do that with somebody like me who prays and meditates 24 hours a day? Who likes to fight? I don't know. I don't mind, But yeah, the whole thing is you just can't. And so in that surrender, in that sorrow of that surrender, then you become extraordinarily tolerant. I don't know if I exemplify that, but you actually become so much more loving towards people. You understand so many things. You can be 50 steps ahead and nobody have any idea, and like go whoop and do a healing and magic and heal their whole future and stuff like that, And that's what you want to do as healers and teachers, right? I mean, unless you don't care about people and you just want to make $20 or something. But if you really, acknowledge suffering and all that stuff in yourself and other people, then you'll see that it's really your whole duty and your whole future to try to heal yourself, even if you want to say it in that selfish way. But you'll notice then the other person's you, so you don't really have much of a choice to try to change your tune, do better for yourself and do better for them. But the idea that, you know, you're going to do it or you're going to be good enough, that's nuts. Because what's the other person want? More. That's the only thing the other person wants. You don't have more. So you're never going to be accepted. Lena and I said this the other day, or I said it to Lena. She's like, yeah. Because I was asking her about the super intelligent PhD stuff, you know, and because I honor it and I just want it to be turned towards the self. That's all. And I wrote this thing down because I noticed that a lot of times people are really, their whole thing is waiting to be approved, you know. And I wrote down, you will never be approved of, you know, had it, look, showed it to her on the paper. And she's like, she totally got that. And I think she totally got that because of the PhD stuff. Because my mind said, oh, here she is over there. And she's like, okay, I could change things, I could do things. And then where's the, like my family where money and PhDs are all over the place, you know, but looking around and it's like, well, if I get 50 billion A's, I could do it, you know. And then she had to, then she would go to mommy and daddy, and correct me if I'm wrong, but she would probably go to different people and she'd be like, yeah. But it would be too much for them. And she'd have to realize there's nobody that can support me in this. Am I right? Pretty much, right? I mean, people do what they can, but when you really want to do something big, you're going to look at your boyfriend, girlfriend, friend, whatever, and you're going to try to get support in those pivotal moments. You're going to get nothing. So when you really want to be healed yourself, you've got to first do it alone. Once you do it alone, then of course the magic comes and people come through for you in magic ways. But you got to have things in proper order, you know. And the first thing is I want you to be abandoned and alone and sit there and see what life's telling you. I don't want you to stay in the energy chest constantly and never, ever, ever allow yourself to be under authority.
So does that mean we let go of self-justification and then sometimes we use it as well to remind
It's just
ourselves
constant.
that we think we still
As
know
soon as
stuff?
somebody pops our bubble, like I'm going to do yours and Opinder's, the only thing you're going to do is blame me. Too bad for you. I'm busy, man. So you've got to find a way to have true intervention from two true wise people, you know, and what indicates that is what I'm telling you. That, but you believe me, your subconscious might reject it with everything in the whole world. It's like when you were listening to Drubong Rinpoche. Remember, Anthony, you're listening to Drubong Rinpoche, like drove you nuts. Because when you contact a real sage saint person, all your stuff gets popped. So then you go to, you know, maybe people like me or whatever, just bow at you and maybe make you feel good at the end of it. But in terms of surrendering your mind to a true wise person and letting that in, it's going to show you that you were entirely wrong all along. And that is the greatest nectar you'll ever have in your whole life, is to admit with somebody's love, somebody holding you, that you were entirely wrong all along. And be humble enough to accept the intervention of somebody else. Because there's all kinds of people that will sacrifice their lives, their money, their time for you. They're all over the place. And the only reason that they're not in a personal relationship with them is because you're not receptive. You don't need that. But the second you really do that, then you're going to switch from this thing and that thing and that thing to the GPS of life. The GPS is true enlightened person, true scriptures, and these words, obedience and things like that. And you realize, okay, I can't do it. You don't, you know, lose your personality, become a weirdo or anything. There's no loss to any of this. You actually become more grounded, more practical. You become a better human being. But if you don't give time to it, your method of energy chess is going to result in pain. And my job is to interrupt that method that you're on with anything I can do. Even though it'll be a fight, but as we know, I like to fight. Questiones.
I have three, but they're very different. So do you want me to just read you one for now?
It's all good. Just put them out there.
All right. So the first one is gaining ground and being assaulted, right? Everyone in your field sensing that the power is coming to us. So cover your transformation by accomplishing it in a safe place. So I know that you wrote about that the other
I
day.
read that.
Yeah. Could you embellish a little bit more, explain that?
You want me to embellish?
Yes. Embellish. I use that word.
Well, very interesting thing. That's why it's absolutely imperative that we're on the same page. Now, if you have some love for the other person, you have some kindness for the other person, you can make it being on the same page. And you can't have really love for another person or kindness for another person unless you're a student of God or life or something, because you can't get that anywhere else, that kind of thing. So if you're on the same page, then it becomes engines in sync, synchronicity, and so all the engines in sync, they move through the universe in the ohm, the third hum. If you have one engine, left side of the brain doing different things, you're dominant, you're only over here, then there's no third hum, there's no magic. Magnetic energy, when it's in synchronicity, creates another property. Coherence, super coherent. The two engines blend together. That's genius and stuff. So you've got to be able to do that with the people in your life. That's kind of like the path too, as well. You got to, be such a servant or whatever as a practice as much as you can, that you can be trusted with the energy and you can give the energy, both. So now the two engines are kind of communicating back and forth, or the 5 engines or the 10 engines, and you create this sort of magic field wherever you go and come back from. Now, during the process of getting the fields, what are the fields? The fields of sight, the fields of sound, the fields of scent. So you both could be together in that process of being trusted with the field of extrasensory perception of the sense, different things, sound. What's going on in the sound world there? What's going on in this? Are you even there? Come back to your senses. So if you're on the same page with the other person and you are humble, your valley gets all the water, then the energy comes to you of that field. I don't know how much sense it makes to it. The field of sound that can come to you. Remember, this is different than energy chest, right? This is being given the energy. All right, so sound, scent, sight, humility, Atma. Atma means the other person is God wearing a mask. That's what Atma means. Romans 8:28. And furthermore, I would say the devil is God wearing a mask. Figure that one out, Maggie. So you have all this stuff going on, and then the energy comes to you. So you want the energy to come to you, right? Because if the energy comes to you, you're going to feel better in your body, and you're going to be able to get whatever, So you want the energy to come for you, yes? To you, yes? Everybody know what that means? The energy of the field coming to you. So we lose the energy, we get the energy, we lose it. What if you become the total humble one? The total recipient, the total servant, the total slave. You want to become a servant? Practice being a slave. Anyway, well, then the energy comes to you. As soon as it comes to you, it comes out from the other people or environment. That's part of how it works. So if you become very, very humble right now, you get the energy, then the baby cries, then the person says, and this and that. Now, if you're together with your partner, friend, whatever, then you can both kind of be on the same page. But as you're trusted with more energy, not taking, as you're trusted with more energy, then you can perform orbits, which means here's a good, healthy orbit for Jackson. But you can't do that until you get the energy. You can't get the energy by bullying, by violence, by manipulation, by playing energy chess, by being, separate from the other person and not honoring them. You can only really get the energy by being a servant and honoring the other person. Anyway, then you get the energy, then you can perform these orbits. But if the person's very disturbed, they're just going to attack. Generally speaking, they just attack. So you have to know that when you relax, the phone rings. And that being the case, you automatically realize that I need to perform my self-transformation in a safe space and a safe time, pre-personalities and forms, before the husband and the whatever and the whomever comes home. You need to do this. Before you go on a trip, you need to do this and to be the servant. Then you're going to be trusted with the energy. Then you can do magic. You can change people's lives. But if you're not trusted with the energy, you can't do anything. So trusted with the energy is different than energy chess and manipulation and energy strategy. Go ahead and do the next one. It doesn't matter what they are.
Next one. The purpose. Okay, this is something else you've said before that I had notes that I was reviewing. And again, if you could help us understand this. So the purpose of sexuality is to mature us, to move from the root up. So we were never taught that, obviously, especially as Westerners.
The purpose of sexuality is to be turned on. That has nothing to do with sexual intercourse. That's to do with your relationship with your body. So generally speaking, we either have too much license with that in one way or the other, which is categorically sin in all the traditions, or we say, oh, that's too wild, messy world. I'm not going in there. And then you just deny it. Most people, as they get older, they pretty much just deny it. They're like, no, that's too much trouble. Because every time you get turned on, you want a new person or this or that kind of thing. So in every tradition, including Christianity, sexuality is the vital, the Old Testament says person without sexual energy is a dry tree. So it's vital for your person. The belly and the groin, that's the negative part of the battery. This is the positive part of the battery. If the positive part of the battery is just going all the time like it does in us, then there's no negative balance down here. That's the whole human race. So there's no earth. Because unless you have healthy sexuality, you can't touch the earth because you can't stop thinking. You can't stop believing that I need to analyze and out there. I need to analyze myself and be subject to true authority, lineages, real masters. So the grounding of the brain depends on the digestion and the sexuality. And then when the digestion and the sexuality is fairly okay, the legs full and you can touch the earth. You need to write this stuff down and go over it. It took me, I don't know how many years, a lot of years before I had a tangible understanding of what that meant, but I have a tangible understanding of what that means. So how are you going to touch the earth? You have to be aware of your whole body mind. And the only way that the body mind can be like a river providing grounding is if something coming in up here. But if the vortex is only analyzing every teacher, every teaching, every person to try to overcome them and get something from them and keep them out, then how is this going to become a conduit? Really important. Yeah.
William, why is it, I had a question that was kind of along that line, like, why is it immoral in a lot of religions?
Sexuality is immoral.
Trust.
Sexual perversion or distortion is immoral. Like don't be aware of your shadow or don't be aware of your sexuality. Then it's going to come out weird. It's going to affect your thinking. So sexuality is not immoral. What we do with our sexuality is immoral. And that is the deepest cesspool and the greatest lotus flower place of the body. That's the superpower of the physical world, is sexuality. That's what provides magnetic energy. So how are you going to empower that and not become wacky with it? That's the most difficult, most challenging area for every human being, to purify and transmute.
Oh my gosh, we could spend like all 5 days on that. My last question then is the grace being greater than law. So,
Ooh.
you know, how grace being greater than law, then meaning if we continue to do our 10 seconds and our 5 minutes, that grace will overcome the bullshit of law. Can you explain that more then?
Yeah, that's another Lena and I question we're talking about all the time. Because she's teaching me about the reality of political science, which I'm sure if all of you are like me, I have no interest in political science or government. That's like nothing. But I do forevermore now, because the master at Lena. Because you know what government is? Government is the psychology of spirituality that rules the masses. The masses psychology,
We're in trouble.
the masses psychology is formed by government. Whether it's in opposition or it's all about government. Government's the biggest power that there is for your community, for the traffic laws, that's what binds you, and it's supposed to free you inside of that. So that's the purpose of law, which you could say, generally speaking, is government, I guess. The structures of how things run. There's all these different proponents that I've been learning about. Thomas Hobbes, Karl Popper, Rousseau, Plato, Aristotle, Socrates. I don't know if Socrates is in there. So many different things that make up the current idea of what government is. And that's related to law. And, you know, some people are more liberal and some people are saying, no, we need more control. And, you know, these different proponents. And one of the wise things that I learned yesterday, I think, was that somebody, I forget, maybe it's John Locke, honey. It said, correct me if I'm wrong, that actually you need to give some room to grace and law to dance together through the years. Somebody said that, decades and so forth, to evolve. You need to allow the process, because government tends to go authoritarian, liberalism, authoritarian, liberalism. It just goes in those cycles. And what we try to do is to make it static. I want Bernie Sanders, I want Trump, I want, you know, we just make it static. But Lena, as an academic, is really great at just watch it. We were talking about observation. Thomas Hobbes said, you can't observe. You're not capable of observation. And yet we think that, you know, observation is the greatest wisdom. But I know what he means. Quantum physics, actually, you can't observe. You can't be quiet. Look at you. What are you going to observe? Your mind's flying 50 billion miles an hour and you won't stop trying to keep me and everybody out and under control and blah, blah, blah. So anyway, but to try to observe, I mean, that's the genuine academic, that's the genuine master, is to find a way to observe. And in doing that, you can see these cycles of grace and law are evolving the human species or evolving the way that government is exacted. The Tao Te Ching says, give the people a lot of rules and you're going to make them rebellious. The Tao Te Ching says, if you want to control a herd of cows, don't have any fences, which I notice around here. There's cows all over the place around here, and they do stay in the same areas. Like the one person, remember when we went to Del Norte and the lady has all these cows, and I said, the fences? And he said, no. They just stay up there, and then we bring them down to the mountain. So grace is non-cognitive. Grace is when you have found the pointers of law to give you freedom. If you follow the traffic laws, you can have a wonderful experience driving a car. If you're always forcing on everybody and you're always trying to get somewhere, then that's prayer and meditation wasted, because you could be the master of the road. Lena and I, basically, nobody gets anywhere near us. Not in the back, not in the front, not in the left, not in the right. I can do it in the city too. You just have such profound observational awareness that you instantly adapt so that you can maintain observation. So the traffic laws can give you freedom if you follow them. Slow down at the yellow instead of speed up. Put your turn signal on far enough before you're going to turn. Give the person behind you enough leeway. Don't ride people's behinds. So you can follow the traffic laws and find freedom. You can have a bubble where you're just kind of like, no matter where you go or what you do, it's all the same. It's not being jostled all the time by the person this way, that way. It's basically like total enjoyment. So that enjoyment will build in your cells. So law points to grace. What's the purpose of the law in the Bible, Maggie? Boy, if you fail this one, I'm never going to hear you again about this stuff. What's the purpose of the law?
Funny, because I was literally waiting for you to stop talking for a second so I could butt in.
Yes, right away.
Because when you talk biblical, it's confusing to me because I was such a law keeper of the Bible that it imprisoned me and it made me have anxiety. And then I learned grace was more powerful than the law, but then how not to abuse it. That, oh, I have grace, so I don't have to follow these rules, or if I follow them, I'm forgiven if I mess up. And you kind of go back and forth. So it's funny because I was going to ask you that. How do you find a balance? Because if you're talking about traffic laws, yeah, if you follow the rules, you're kind of already giving yourself grace. But in the Bible, it's very much grace comes before that. And then you learn, like, you honor the laws. Well, you honor, like you follow them because you honor the grace.
The law, as it relates to grace biblically, has one purpose, which is explained in Romans and Galatians very clearly. It's to show you that you cannot perfectly follow the law. No matter
Right.
how much you want to put the turn signal on every time, you're going to forget somewhere and you're not going to put it on. So then who's under condemnation for not being able to obey the law? Everybody. Because you can't like think right, do it right, listen enough, whatever. So the conscious mind is always going to condemn you because the conscious mind exists in for and against. So that's why you have to have guru, darshan, Jesus, something that's beyond the conscious mind. Because if you go by the law in and of itself to get to grace, not as a pointing finger is the law, and the right sense of different pointing finger, Jules. The pointing finger points to grace, which is non-cognitive. So law has one purpose in the Bible, biblically speaking, to show you that you are dependent on grace, that you if you really examine your thoughts and your behavior, you're more than condemnable.
But then once you understand that concept, which yes, like I see that, then what are you supposed to do with the law from there? You still have to look at
Apostle
it.
Paul says in Romans 6, he says, because we're under grace, does that mean that then we should do anything because we know we're like eternally forgiven and redeemed? He said, by no means. Rather, we seek to establish the law.
That's what I meant. Yeah. It's like you honor the
So
law,
how-
understand the grace.
if you feel the grace, you can't understand it. If you feel the grace, you hug your little baby person and you're having a moment of connection. You feel the grace, God, life, something wonderful. Now you want to wipe the baby's behind. You're encouraged to do what you need to do, your duties. We think that we're going to use law or thought or structure to get it figured out and to, move on with it in life. And that's impossible. So the Bible is really clear about and every tradition, is that the law has to bring you to a non-cognitive experience of grace. And so that's like an invitation of love, the invitation of grace, the invitation of forgiveness is non-cognitive. But what the human mind does is it seeks to, the energy chess, only try to understand, only try to wait. I said to Lena this morning, I think it was something like this, if you wait to see whether, if you're really pent up with sorrow and resentment and bitterness and stuff, and I'm telling you about like the word or the truth or life or how to get healed or something, and if I need to be perfect, and since you're terrified of me, and the only thing you can do is wait to see where there's obvious distortion or wrongness in my thought, and then you go, yep, see, I knew he was an idiot or something. And that's what y'all do, what everybody does, in my opinion. So if that's your method, you're waiting for somebody to be perfect, then you can't follow directions. Because I'm only, like messenger person. I'm not an enlightened person. I don't know any enlightened people. The enlightened people, I block them. They're out of my life. I have no time for it. I'm over it. I wish I could care more, but I'm just not that wise. So, yeah, so the human mind, that's kind of, if there's a lot of pain and a lot of resentment, that's sort of what we do. So it's hard to get the message from a little person like me. But if you can have tolerance for the human being and have this idea that everybody is God wearing a mask, then you're going to really labor to discover the divinity in the other person and give them a lot of grace. And the more you find real teachers, the more you're going to find that you really have to do that. So once you do that to a significant level that you're beyond magnetism, that means the for and against, then you get to a living relationship. Like Christianity says it's so wonderful in so many ways, a living relationship with Jesus. Yeah. You got to have a living conscious relationship with the master people and the master person, not subject to object all the time. Yeah. Until that happens, it's just, I said it this morning, it's just, you must go to hell. Sorry. Have a nice time. Because that's the only thing that's going to cause you to become humble is pain. So unless you accept it yourself, that things like all the traditions teach you that, you can't do it, you can't be really good enough or anything, all that stuff is really, really, really not the way to go. Just so you become, it's like when you first fell in love with somebody. You actually feel safe to be a goofball, to be weak, to be unintelligent, to be whatever. You feel safe to let your stuff out. So once that kind of surrender happens, then this tremendous power comes through. It just changes everything. But until that's the purpose of the law. The Bible is wonderful in that teaching. The whole Old Testament, it's all talking about the law. The whole New Testament, it's all pointing towards grace. So I remember I did a teaching one time, law period, grace period. And the preacher of that play, it was a church, the preacher of that church said, if you teach that, if you preach that, they're going to go nuts because it's like too much for people. And they did. So law period means, but that's the Bible. Law period means, and it's all throughout the New Testament, if you want to learn about it, that as an analysis, not an analyzing the other person, as an analysis of yourself, there's distortions and whatever that you apparently are hopeless to resolve. So once that is a period, like, okay, that's true. I agree with that. There's some things in me that I can't, it's not just me, it's you too. See? So if you can have a period on law, then guess what happens? You open up your arms to receive grace. I would give you the scriptures, but I don't want to overdo it, but that's the whole thing. How are you going to give up the resentment and the bitterness and the objectification and the judgments and the intellectualization and become a student. I said this somewhere in a post recently. I said, are you going to learn, could you learn as much about physics as Einstein in your lifetime? Now, the immediate reaction of the person in shock is yes, that's possible, I could. And I'm here to tell you, no, it's not possible. You could not. It is impossible. You will not. I don't care what you say and what you do. You go ahead and give up everything in your life and study physics from now until evening and barely sleep for the rest of your life, and you will not know anything about physics compared to Einstein. And if you can't accept that, then you're headed for pain. So take my warning and just be a little humble. And now that's what law kind of is. Law is that you put the baby on the ground, they're not necessarily going to find food. You got to help them along a little bit. So this is the relationship between like sky and body and earth and then life. So usually we have the relationship vertically. It's vertically this way, horizontally, meaning that we just stay with each other and back and forth and back and forth. And I'm going to figure you out. You're going to figure out. I'm going to go on. And look at us. We're all old. Everybody's over 30 around here. That's pretty old. Has it worked yet? So it's not really the horizontal. You want bliss. You want the mystery. You want the happiness. I absolutely have bliss, happiness, and transcendental understanding beyond my life and death. Can you see that? In your own body, mind. If you don't have that, you want that, then do the vertical and click the link at the bottom of the screen. If you sign up now, I'll include 2 books. Anyway, vertical. Vertical is, God, totally forget your life, forget everyone, everywhere, everything. It happens when you get burned enough with trauma, Do you need more pain? I can give some. I got some serious pressure point stuff. Hey, you see, I got my black belt stripe, Gracie Jiu-Jitsu. So do you really need more pain? I mean, do you have to have it? Do you have to? Do we have to have that? Let's try to remind ourselves that we're headed towards that when we're in horizontal relationship with life. I got to figure it out. I got to make, and not surrendered. If you're surrendered and you don't believe in personalities and forms anymore, then you can endure extraordinary loss or extraordinary gain and still stay transfiguring. You got to transfigure. You got to turn into light. You got to turn into happiness, total biological, soulgasmic happiness. Because if you get that, then you can wave your hands and create stuff. I still one day want to create this healing thing for lots of people. 10s, 5s, customize, movie night, and assessment, blah, 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 blah. But that's it. Orgasmic energy. Back to sex. Always goes back to sex. Orgasmic energy. That's what you have to have. You want to heal somebody, that's what you got to have in your hands. So that's like bliss, and that's happiness. So you get happiness from the lavender field, you get happiness from you try to remember that this is what's important. It's not something else. You find a way to be cared about as an individual, find a way to address your personal issues. Okay. Does anybody have more prepared questions?
So tapping into, I'm just starting my new book.
Hey! Wow!
But I love to like flip through things and like, I don't know, before I read it, I just look through things. So the 3 gates, what
Yes.
came up when I read this paragraph about the 3 gates was maybe I'm not connected enough to my body to understand certain things. And this is saying that the chi is stagnant in these areas of the tailbone and this squeeze the spine and a jade pillow. I could understand the tailbone one. The squeeze the spine is certain vertebrae. But what's jade pillow? It says where
Back
you
of the
rest your head. Oh, it's in the back?
of the head, I believe.
Okay.
Yeah. So I think it's the head. Read the paragraph to me. I have that book right here somewhere, but I don't
It's
know.
on page 150. The three gates in Chinese meditation are called the San Guan. There are three places along the course of the small circulation where qi is the most commonly stagnant. Before you fill up the conception and governing vessels to circulate the qi
Yes.
smoothly, you must open the three
Oh.
gates.
Yes. Okay. That's very nice.
Very nice.
I hope you can understand me with my accent.
Well, you know what's so interesting is that it's like my worlds are colliding a little bit, because in Bowen we're always taught to look at the three foundations of the body: pelvis, which kind of includes the tailbone, diaphragm, and the jaw. And so those are actually the areas that they were talking about too.
Oh,
So if there's
good.
an imbalance in one of those, there usually is in another.
The conception vessel, the only thing you have to worry about is the psychological reality of filling up the body like a balloon. That means two things: great contact and great discharge. There's this famous Taoist master who healed somebody, and then he had to put his hands on a rock, and the rock became black when the junk came out of his body. So you can't have anything, forget about all that, throw the book over in the room. I have read this book for God knows how many times. It's very nice. It's very good, but I can give you better. So the idea here is that these gates open, the head, middle of the body, bottom of the body. These gates open when you become filled. So this is the difference between doing acupuncture from the outside in to release a blockage, and having more water go through the body so that the blockage undoes itself. So if you think about the pelvis as an objectified thing, then that's not you as the pelvis, that's different.
Mhm.
You as the pelvis, you as sexuality, you as the solar plexus, you as digestion, these are places of you. All right. But these are the products of filling up the conception vessel and the governing vessel. I don't know. Am I too much all over the place? Do you not have any idea what I'm saying? Yeah. Oh, okay. So just forget everything and do this. Darshan. Yes. Get darshan. How do you get the darshan? What's going to calm your mind? Is it a glass of water? What's going to calm your mind? Okay, once you get the darshan, then the front of the body fills, and then the nerve cord in the spine, the nerves, animate with energy. That creates this loop, like going to sleep and waking up, of energy. Relaxing, that's the conception vessel. The way to undo these blockages and to open these places in the body is the filling of the conception vessel and the emanating of the governing vessel. The governing vessel is on top of the spine. The conception vessel is in the front here. In English, you just need to relax. What's going to make you relax? Darshan. That's the only thing that's going to make you relax. So when you have great contact, I want it with nature, but I want it with a person too, people. Now you can surrender and you can calm down. You can start to fill up your bottom, fill up your groin. And as all that fills up, now you got power. And don't just automatically externalize it to doing this or that or stimulation or this. Feel it like a field of energy and move it up your spine. That's waking up, that's animating, that's presenting. The three gates, the bottom, the middle, the head, are opened up by more power flowing through the body. More power can only flow through the body with darshan calming the mind. When the mind is calm, you open up to nature's nourishing. Nature's nourishing becomes this symbiotic breathing experience, and you're filling up. As you're filling up, you're discharging stuff. Toxicity goes into the air. This is different than subject-object kind of way of doing it, working on the pelvis, working on the middle section, working on the head. That's why super masters don't talk about power development things and do power breathing exercises and do too much of energy things, because the energy is automated when you have spirit. Remember the quote, if you have your attention on energy, you'll only be confused. If you have your attention on spirit, you'll become invincible. Your energy will automatically adapt to anything. So it's not in the particulars, it's just in figuring out the psychology of what I'm talking about, like in the beginning of the call. The darshan and what a real lineage is, what a real teacher is. Because everything else is the mind trying to control the body or the outside. Okay. Now, if you get that, then I can go into more about the vessels. I always want to. I can go into more about the energy and all, but nobody ever gets the most important thing. So I just am never interested to do it. Because what's the use of giving you power if you're not surrendered to life or to Jesus or somebody?
William, could I ask you a question?
Yes, please.
It just came up when you were describing that. So, through great contact with the sages or saints, receiving the darshan, but you just said a feeling or spirit. It's not like I'm thinking about it. Becoming a conduit for the darshan, is that what creates the magnetism?
Oh,
Where the
my.
body just fills with like this, I can't explain it, sort of this weighted energy,
Hell yeah.
which is soft, but somehow powerful. Is that what magnetism
Yeah.
is?
And then you have the capacity to be dominant, but you never do
Hmm.
as a practice. You just keep putting it back into your own personal distortion. But if you have to fight and be dominant, it's pretty much a lookout thing for others.
So you're saying you put it back into step one and start over?
Yeah. Put it back into step one. Don't let anybody know that you have magnetism. And then just go surrender again and find a way to just try again, to let whatever is sad in you, whatever needs to be healed, whatever needs to be educated, it's not going anywhere. The place inside your body, mind, that's sad, that's uneducated, that whatever, you're not going to resolve it. That's why I have to separate myself from the completion delusion crowd of people with no lineages and no real things. Even as nice as they are, I can't do it anymore. I'm really sorry. I've got to go. Because I'm too messed up and you're too messed up and people need help and stuff like that. And it's about service to the poor and diseases and, yeah. So then you like the lady got healed when she touched Jesus's cloak. Then the power is going to go out of you anyway, because of other people's needs and because of your black pit vat of need. The beauty of all this is that you finally become grounded. If you finally become grounded, Danielle, then what happens in your relationship, with Jackson in the other room? It's like, you see it happening now, right? Like right now, we're getting to the place where we're starting to ground. It takes me all day, all night, all my life to find this again. And I thank God for the ability to teach or helping people and teaching people, because then I get to do it again. And what do you think I'm going to do when I get done teaching you? I'm going to do it again. It's always that way in my mind. So it's just one cycle after another cycle. And then secretly I get healed. Nobody ever seems to know. It's wonderful. So you want to run away with the prize and nobody should know about it. Because if they know you're gaining power, they're going to try to stop you. So if you continue to do this, you're going to have more possibilities to invite other people and their families and their lineages and their into healing. You know, it's a real thing here.
One thing that keeps coming up now that I feel like I'm really good at step 1, I'm getting better at step 2. After these moments or calls with you, one-on-ones or classes, is the transition from being in this place to everything else. I'm not sure I've really grasped what I need to do in order to be in that place of
Easy slavery. Instant slavery. Is the second you get done, Jules is like, why does he say all these crazy things? I see you're thinking. Now that's the thing. Nice hair, by the way, Jules. You notice everybody knows her hair is down today? It's extra sort of fluffy. Slavery. It means that you now are the servant of the environment and the other person as best you can be. That's the only safety that there is. And so, since you have a lot of power that you've done this, other people don't have to know anything about, you know, remember the pointing finger can never be wrong. So everybody can always say you're not good enough and you're never going to be able to do it good enough. And I get it, but that's not your process. Your process is, as best as I can, I'm going to try to do it better. And what are you going to do better? How you sit, how you walk, how you listen, how you talk. It's not going to be good enough for anybody. It's not going to create enlightenment. It's not okay, but that's not what I'm talking about. I just mean, all right, now I got some healing. Now I got to whatever. So now I'm just going to listen to Jackson. That's all. I'm going to take that energy and I'm going to put it into the as best as I can. Maybe it'll even work into my relationship with this person and with these people and with this environment. And I'm going to be submitted. Now, what'll happen is that the person's going to become externalized and they're going to pour all your power into you. Unless that other person is a devotee of life, that means they keep an internal awareness going. But mostly the whole world, they're just going to pointing finger, Jules. So when you get done a session in the morning, you go to work, it's going to be externalized, objectified minds. The cars driving on the roads, they're going to be externalized. You should still be meditating and praying, whatever you want to do. Some kind of thing, mountain, my favorites list, whatever you like. And you're still trying to pursue the healing. So now objectified minds, which is the addiction of the human personality, is going to point and prod and strategize and all this stuff with the outside world. That's a mistake on their part. But that's how the human mind and human personality runs. Now, if you're both together in relationship and things like this, then it's more you stay in the meditative thing and you kind of work together on whatever you're doing. There's more symbiotic relationship. But the world doesn't really roll that way. That's why if you can be on the same page with the other person, it's pretty simple. The reason we're in relationship is so we can heal each other. That's the purpose of relationship. And if you're game for that and the other person's game for that, then you have a relationship. If they're not game for that, then you're not in a relationship. And if Jackson or whoever doesn't understand that, then you're going to keep on doing your path. Be way beyond your death. So it doesn't matter that much. You're able to love people more and give them more opportunities and things like that because you're internally receptive. So the cars, if I see a car behind me 300 yards before it comes near me, I'm talking to that car 300 yards out. If I see a car maybe going to turn, 200 yards in front of me, I'm talking to that car already. So if I'm receptive, that car is going to project like every human being does. And when they find receptivity that's too much, they're going to say, "Ooh, I better pull back." And they're going to self-regulate. So that's what the human mind does. It over projects because it's playing energy chess. Then when it finds space, it pulls back and it self-regulates. That's why, if you listen to your child enough or whatever, they're going to expose themselves if, as they don't know everything and you need to guide them. Then you can guide them. So when you come out of meditation, that's your practice. You realize where the stuck spot is, and you realize the integrity of the individual, and you just start to sweep the floor, do whatever you're supposed to do. Now, if the other person is all frenetic out, and like most everybody is, then they're going to play themselves out. So you can wait for that, and then you can love them and guide them. But if you are not able to be calm and continue your meditation while you're in relationship, then that's your responsibility to correct. Any other questions? I'm going to go do some practice. So listen, pen it, write it down, make it yours. The only problem is, like I've told you, is that it's coming from me. And the last thing you want, Andrea Lynn, is for it to come from anybody else except yourself. Because wisdom coming from somebody else is an offense to your intellect. So you don't want it. That's how the human being rolls. That's how silly we are. Why don't you change that tune a little bit and just write down your my favorites list and own it as your own. And now you've got a map to be able to feel safe so that you can address personal issues in the stuck spot. You're not going to have another path than your my favorites list and your stuck spot. If the my favorites list reaches lineages and real teachers and stuff like that, then you don't have to be the authority anymore trying to figure it out and design it. You can surrender and follow the road signs. And that will lead you into this non-cognitive experience of life. All right. Okay, I pretended I froze. But you got to have the transmission outside of the teaching. You got to have total stillness. I mean, be honest with yourself. How much do you have total stillness and total silence? How about just about never? That's how often you have it. What is this now? Are you doing it, honey? Honey bunny pie. Honey bunny pie. Okay, keep going. Now, remember that sky and earth is what you're connecting with now. Sky and earth. So your eyes and your ears and your nose are not what's active now. What's active is the sky above you, the earth underneath you. So if I look in your eyes, I need to see that you're in like a divine trance with nature already. Okay? Make your belly strong and do Kegels. Scratch. Keep going. Compress your stomach muscles. Kegels. That's good, Daniel. Rip it up, rip it up, rip it up. You have to express animal vigor, or you don't have the sexual energy, the digestive power. Dynamism and energy is based in conflict. That's digestion and sexuality. So let the animal strength happen. All of this is part of life. Connect with it. Really, really effort now. It's the only way you're going to have advanced meditation. Come on, effort, fight. That's good. Keep going. Come on. Good. Harder. Harder fingers. Harder fingers. Look at my fingers. Hard fingers. Danielle's going to turn into a lion. Good. All right, let's do a little eagle action. Flying above the Himalayas. Diving down. Soaring up. Going over a lake. Flying up the side of a mountain. Now bear walking. So you get these tangible nourishments, you know, the feeling of a bear, the feeling of an eagle. These are part of the magic ingredients, because when you're free in your mind like a child, not only do you have creative genius, but you have connection to nature that has the body repair itself better. Being like a monkey and picking grapes. We used to pick the stars like M&Ms. Remember, honey? You want to pick the stars like M&Ms? Eat some stars. How about a deer? Being a deer. Turtle. Now see all of those in your mind's eye. Bear, monkey, turtle. Dolphin. I'm going to look in your eyes now, and I want you to see that you can process multiple things at the same time. So your eyes have to be within yourself. You can't be looking outside yourself. See inside. Open your inner eye. Now this is from Tibet. It's called Tumo. Big part of Qigong training is the Yi Jin Qing. Large part of the Yi Jin Qing is what science calls the piezo effect. That means when you touch, slap, or wipe the body, that electrical surges happen. So it can help the bone marrow production of your body. Like this. But if you learn this, that's why I didn't mention it before me getting through this whole thing of darshan and the psychology, it won't work. Even if you make some electricity release, because you have to be a conduit. So in Tibet, this is part of the exercise, very secret exercise. One time I showed a Tibetan monk this and he was mad as hell. Don't show that. I was like, whoa. Well, it relates to Qigong in the piezo effect. You're actually creating electrical charge through this wiping. And then you've done this kind of thing, pat it down. Slap it, slap it. Come on. No pain all the time with this class. Let's have some pain, for God's sakes. Slap it, slap it. The whole thing, avoiding pain, avoiding conflict. Come on, how are you gonna get healed? Wipe it. Let me see. Wipe it this way and then in. This way and then in. Good. Very nice. Now I'll go like this. This is the secret Tibetan thing that I'm not supposed to show you. Where you go like this. you're supposed to point at the Dharma, the spiritual teaching. So your ribs. This is part of the thing that they do to join spiritual and physical exercises, mantras, to stay warm in minus 30-degree weather. Okay, keep doing it. Oh, that's pretty good, Andrea. Let me see. It's good, Jules. Honey, can you do it? Yeah, you got it. Let me see over here. Okay. Go ahead and whack yourself. You're not going to break. Go ahead. Hit it. Let me see. Anthony, hit it. Come on, let me see. All right, you can feel it on your bones? Afraid you're going to break a rib or something? The shoulders hurt? Or you might hurt the shoulder? All right, well, do it as hard as you can without hurting yourself. That's good, Danielle. Let me see, Maggie. No. Let it go in your body. That's better. Good. Two hand. This is Badwa Jin. Remember, the most popular Qigong form in the world. So if you all want to teach Qigong to somebody, add it to your repertoire. This is something everybody knows. Badwa Jin. 8 pieces of silk. Now, you've seen this in Chinese restaurants, maybe. Buddha supporting the heavens. All right, now you're just standing there, but now I want you to stretch it up. Stretch it up. And I always add my own flavors to things. So put your head back and look up too. So you should feel it all on the inside of your arm and your palm, okay? Hold the stretch. Draw the bow. One foot is 45 degrees. The other foot is straight. Draw the bow. Make your belly strong. Make your body strong. Compress your muscles. Shoot the arrow. Come back straight. Pivot on your heels. The one heel goes 90. The other heel goes 45. So you got 45 and 90. In the direction where you're shooting the arrow, that foot swings out. You always have some space between your feet when you're picking up a box and so forth and turning. See that? You can just imagine it. So the one foot goes 45 and the other foot swing. You lift it off the ground and it goes out about a foot. So you have some width between your feet. I'll put it down to see it. So you're like this, wide stance, and then you go like this. See, you're here. This foot turns 45 degrees. The weight comes on this foot spins out, equalize the weight. Come back straight. Wide stance. 45 degrees with the one foot. The weight goes on that back foot. This foot comes out. Just like if you're going to pick up a box here. Anytime you pick something up or you put something on a shelf, you're moving like that all the time. That's a great health boost. This one, this one. This way. Turn on the foot, back foot. This one spins out. Equalize the weight. Next move is separate heaven and earth. Heaven, earth. When your hand goes down, you're moving through the soil to touching the metal ball. When your hand goes up, you're moving through the sky and touching the stars. Okay? Touching heaven and earth. Now I'm going to look in your eyes and I've got to see that you're in sky and earth. You know how many people I taught and all that. And I must have said thousands of times, sky and earth, sky and earth. It used to be when I was in fitness instructor, it used to be 2 and 4, down on 2, pause, back on 4. That was the second count. Thousands of people. And now I teach somebody in person and then I say, I'm going to turn around. I'm going to look in your eyes. I need to see, you're going to see sky and earth. I look and then I'll see sky and earth. So you'll always forget. That's why scriptures, you do the same thing a zillion times. So sky and earth, sky and earth, sky and earth. Now, when you switch and do the other hand, this hand is starting to touch the earth. This hand is starting to touch the sky. This hand is going into the mud and the soil. This hand is going up into the upper atmosphere of the sky. This hand is going into the magma. This hand is going to the boundary layer of the stars. This hand is going to the metal ball. This hand is going into infinite space. Stars, galaxies, metal ball, grounding. Infinite space and galaxies, positive, grounding, negative, positive. Switch. Wise owl gazes backwards. This is called Badwa Jin. You can look it up. You'll notice that your ability to look behind you lessens over the years. So you can begin to correct that problem now with this exercise. And whatever capacity you can do it is fine. Don't break yourself. Keep your feet in one place. Two hands hold the feet and then pull up so that you stretch your kidneys. Clench the fist and glare fiercely. Let me see. It's good. Good. Come on. Glare fiercely, Andrea. That's good, honey bun pie. Ow. That's good, Maggie. Stay centered though. Don't let go that way. Stay with everything. All right, bounce on the toes. Keep going. Keep going. Prayer hands. Bow to the stars. Open up to the stars and space on the sides of the planet, underneath the planet, up through, inner listening, inner looking, inner feeling, brainstem convergence, swallowing down. Oceans and whales and mountains, lions and tigers and bears. The inward movement of tree sap. All the people in your life. You open up, how soft are your fingers? Underneath the earth, soil, teeming life, earthworms, beetles, moving tectonic plates, magma, metal ball. Gather up from it. Underneath you, tangible contact. Remember how healing happens. Mental obsession and intellectualism, subject-object awareness, keeps us in the sea of for and against. These nature elements stream in when mental obsession is calmed. So the places in your spot map unbound and you become quiet. You naturally taste the soil and trees and lion fur and sky. You naturally see it now with your body mind, with your relationships. Prayer hands. Infinite void, silence, space, stillness. Turn your hands around like this. Open up to it and allow it to come through your body. With all your relationships and everything, there's in this world, there's places in your body, mind, that are in a dynamic with these people, and you need to wash it. So wherever you are, whatever your history, whatever your past, present, and future, touch off, wash the field. Left hand first. Go into your future or go into your past. And it's this environment that you're in where all of it's reflected, past, present, and future. Science tells us that there is no such thing as time. An enlightened person can see all kinds of timelines at the same time. So why don't you live with the third eye open and begin to see more of what the future could be, what the past could have been and is, and notice what your body's saying about all this stuff, okay? You'll find out that it relates to your core relationships, all of it. So you just want to wash, just be as, oh, the bird's there. I didn't bring them any food. All right, I will bring some before we go. Now you should have the field because of our conversation and because of our humility and things like that. You should, washing the field. You should have some of the field in your hand. Can you feel the field of healing energy given to you in your hand now? Put your hands like this. In Qigong and Zen, Kung Fu, all the real deep stuff of all those origins, reverse breathing is a way to generate more magnetic power. So now I'm starting to give out some secrets. So when you push a car, your whole bottom section here pushes out, right? So push a car. I call it push breathing. Relax your fingers, Maggie. So the more relaxed the nerve is, the more magnetism can flow through it. You want magnetism to flow through your nerves if you want to repair your body and have more power to wash the field of your life, past, present, and future. So now we're just going to work on generating some amplitude. When you exhale, this pushes out, just like when you would push a car. Good. Good. Okay. Now don't use any muscles. You should feel the, everybody has the healing field now, right? So now you're doing that magnetic field and you're just generating more amplitude. Now you're working on power. When you inhale, the belly goes in. It's reverse breathing. I call it push breathing. Like going to the bathroom, the same thing happens. This will help you generate digestive and sexual strength. How's the field in your hands coming? Is it bigger? Bigger. Keep going. Let me see. Keep going. Let me see. Bigger, bigger. Into all your relationships, into all your people. Send the healing energy out to reconfigure stuff in them. Good. One finger's in. Prayer hands. You bow to the stars underneath you. You open up to the stars. And you gather the stars into a galaxy with the Om. And the galaxy goes into the center of your brain. Om. Every enlightened person of every tradition talks about contemplating the cosmos. Oh, the starry host and so forth. Bring the swirling galaxy into your throat. Clear your voice. What you're saying in life. It's easy. You want to have a purpose. You have something to say in life. I want us to get healed. That's all you have to have. Right? That's the only thing. I'm going to do my best to heal us. Om, hum. Goes into the heart. Swirling galaxy in the heart. Hum. How soft do the fingers open? Let me see what kind of progress you made. That's nice. Oh, very nice. Down. Adjust your hips. Which toe is not talking to the ground? Which foot has got something going on? Which hip is presenting itself forward? So the hands are on the sides of the hips and you're doing those adjustments. Left over right this time. So this is not imagining working on the chakras. This is literally working with biomagnetism, right? Now you can spin your chakras around with this biomagnetism, work on the 3 gates that Danielle spoke of if you want, but you can't do any of it until you get the field. And that's why I created the 3 steps, so that you could get the field. Be trusted with the field. You're always working on more pressure. That's the chi power development thing, is pressure and condensation. So you're not just doing it. You always have a threshold of how much magnetism is between my wrists. What's the new conception? What could it become? And the idea of pressure like a spring. From the earth scooping up, from the cosmos scooping down. You're starting to work with the elements, you know. Feel the magnetism move between your palms. That's when the ladies, Jesus said, I feel the power went out of me. So this is the magnetism, you know, is a give and a take. And what's the greatest producer of magnetism or chi? Spirit. That's why all these exercises are nothing without the spiritual talk and the word and all that stuff. It just won't work. And that's what the scriptures of Qigong say. Oh, mama. If you could do the temple style, 45 degrees. When you bring your hand out in front, keep everything compact. Same thing as if you open the door or use something, get something from the cabinet. Don't overextend and lead with your head. If you're going to move your body, move with balance. It's part of your brain. That's Tai Chi. 45 degrees. Step, turn in. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. So don't go over there. Just go out here. A little bit here. Babaji. Once a week, you do a long routine. And it's something with the muscles, something with the intellect, something with emotion, something with scriptures. And it all prepares you to have a magic moment. That's all you want to do, is have one little magic moment. If it's possible to have one magic moment, you can change a lot of things. This magic moment. The intellect will say, no, do something else. Okay, somebody help me out here. What are we doing, Jules? Oh, I don't have the thing plugged in. Wait a minute. Oh, I can hear you. Okay.
I was like, now we meditate. Don't we meditate now? Or I
Okay.
don't know.
Yeah. Now you can all see that when we started, there was lots of questions, lots of thoughts, lots of things. Now you're a totally different person, right? Okay. So you're going to have to codify that. You're going to have to inscribe that and say, logic tells me, remember I have it written down here, you will forget it, you won't remember it. Logic tells me that a full spectrum approach, according to real transmissions and real teachers, is the only thing that works. Now, 5 minutes from now, you're going to forget. Well, you get done the meditation maybe. 5 minutes after the meditation, you're going to forget and lose 75% of everything that we gained almost immediately. And the ego is going to start and you're going to forget. That's how it rolls. That's the truth. So if you can have a map, if you can have a GPS and understand the principle that says you cannot remember it, you will forget it. Jesus, Buddha, Maharaji, Amma, Yogananda. Mind trouble putting all those words together, Maggie? She's going to kick my behind. Guru Dev, Padre Pio. We saw this guy yesterday, and he's a big Catholic guy, and he didn't know about Padre Pio. Can you imagine what he's going through right now, honey? He's going to get a miracle. He's a big Catholic guy. He knows nothing about Padre Pio. Padre Pio is a real deal. Hundreds of thousands of miracles. Miracle guy, you know. Anyway. So he's going to go into Padre Pio. Now, Jesus, Buddha, whoever, whatever, something, will you? And now just begin to lengthen your breath, please. Jules is doing the Pledge of Allegiance. Oh no, she's Canadian. Okay. We used to do that, huh? Growing up. Pledge Allegiance. Now they're like, nope. No more of that. Now I want to see how long you can make your breath. Are you going to eat that, Upinder? Oh, all right. Longer breath, longer breath, longer breath. How long can you make your breath? How much can you fall in love, become happy? That's meditation. Fall in love, become happy. Longer breath. That's the rule, Danielle. The rule is that your breaths can become longer. So you got, let's say, 3 instructions now. One is sensing the air flowing in and out of the nostrils. You have your God connection, you have your nature connection, you have your energy connection. It's all intact. Since you're going to forget it 5 minutes after we're done today, why don't we try to solidify it in your bones by following these 3 instructions. 1, make contact. Just let this music in. You could put on scripture reading, you could do something. We use this music. 2, sense the air flowing in and out of your nostrils. Forget everyone, everywhere, everything. Can you do that, Andrea? I just think, yeah, sure, why not? I wasn't thinking about them that much anyway. This is the real Jesus loves you, I'll tell you that. Because once you get this connection of being loved by somebody, then you can love in your relationships and so forth. But you can't do it unless you give everybody up first, all your ordinary things, people, places, things, future, present, past. You got to separate from it from here and let the massage happen from the Jesus and so forth. Let somebody else, the Guru Sansahibi. I got to memorize that. It's very beautiful. Sant Takhar Singh was my Sikh guru for a while. He was cool. They were all about the light and sound. So you're always going to find in traditions silence. You're going to find cosmos. And it all comes from the teacher, you know. So how are you going to let whatever your teacher is in and you be the recipient? That's the whole thing now. See the light through the eyelids and let the darshan, let the energy, however you conceive of it, happen. Try to make it a person, will you? Make it a Buddha or Jesus, somebody, please. Because from that, you're going to have nature's powers, cosmic powers in a whole new world. Don't be the enlightened one. Be the student. I'm never going to talk about being enlightened and completion ever again. I've totally had it with that nonsense. It's like mental illness times 10. Just be humble, be grateful, let it in. Come on, calm down a little more. It's okay. The rest of your day is going to be a lot more productive. So it's time well spent. Each breath is to be longer than the previous, remember? Don't worry about whatever you're worrying about. You have to let it go. It worked a little bit, whatever you tried, let it go and give it up, forget it, and you could try again after, but now you let it go now. You can't have no thought in some la-la world. You have to have no thought with that brain and that body. Saturation, satiation, being cared about as an individual, I think is the bottom line. So who cares about you? But you know there's a lot of people that do, like really do. That's enlightenment. Realizing that tons of people will adore you. Weren't even grateful for it. Because they're crying baby. Longer breath, longer breath. Good, Daniel. How you doing, little one? We're doing prayerful meditation to Jesus our Lord. Maggie's baby's there. I figure I better put the plug in or I'm gonna get in trouble. Maggie demands that I witness Jesus every 4 days minimum. Long, 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 long. You see, even though I'm babbling around, how long my breath is. You can't have it just in your mind, Danielle. You have to have it in your body mind. Then your breath will lengthen. If you have it just in your mind, then there's going to be a discrepancy between body and mind. They're not talking to each other. See the light through the eyelids. Begin to go from emotional venting to contentment to happiness, joy, independent of circumstance, the circumstances of you and your life, past, present, future. Become so immersed in the waters of some wonderful vibe. And while you're aware of the light through your eyelids, while you're aware of your body, that you pause. doesn't have to be audible, but you're just going to choose to be happy, and you're going to choose to sigh relief in the face of everyone and everything. You're just going to choose it with them all, whoever all in your face, and you're going to be happy because you are born enough. That's step 3. You have to pause, suspended animation, and then sigh of relief. That's advanced meditation. So show me that pause, Jules. You can't hear me? She can't hear me. Everybody else can hear me, right? Was that okay, yeah, okay. Thanks. Not our fault, Jules. You're just not listening. Oh, ma. You got it? Okay. Now, show me the natural pause, please. Where you just so, it's like a drug, right? That's what drugs and alcohol and wrong sex and all, that's what all it is. It's imitation meditation. Chocolate, too much. Stay in your body open. That's good. Make your way there quick, Jules. You only got 5 minutes. You only have so much time with everything. Like before the baby cries, before the sun comes out of the room, it's all a matter of timing. So you're going to have to get to step 3, the conclusion of a session of self-healing training. So because if you do, the power of the field comes to you. Then your boss, what are you going to do with the power then? You better be nice. Otherwise, this is going to create bad karma. But sometimes we're so pent up that as soon as we get the power, then we really just want to take over and run things. Babaji. So you're going to have a relationship with this pause now, okay? Like my mouth is lit up like a Christmas tree right now. And there's all kinds of no breath going on. I still haven't inhaled. Now, naturally, I inhale like a cool water on a hot day. And find more junk with the step 1. Find more love and grace and little happiness for you. Step 2, slow it down again. And the pause again, soulgasm. There's so much light and sound and nourishment and spirit and all these things together. Magic pie gets made. You can practice at it. The instruction is very clear. You're going to sense the airflow in and out the nostrils, and you're going to go through the light. In the beginning stages, maybe for some years, meditation is like torture, Maggie. So keep being tortured. But Maggie, look at the other folks. Look, all of them are there. It's just a choice. You just don't try to solve anything anymore. You like accept, oh well, law, Bible. I ain't right. You ain't right. I ain't right. All right, I give it up. I'm gonna accept being loved. Too bad somebody doesn't like it, and you just do. It's like nourishment. The references of something essential oil, something that you like, But just take it easy. Don't try to capture it. You have to forget about people, and you have to forget about you. You are worth it. To have a break, to be given some grace. That's the whole Bible, isn't it? Grace. Jesus' intercession. So you're going to let somebody take the junk out of you and give you good power and money and whatever the hell else you need? Are you going to believe in that? Just choose to believe it. Doesn't matter. I stopped waiting for a timeline because nothing ever works. But when you do that, things work more. When you give up the timeline of I got to have this and that on Tuesday. All your Christian teaching is exactly correct. And all the world teaches you to do this and get that and be shiny and everything. It's all exactly incorrect. Just be yourself. Relax. Poop when you want to poop. And have a moment for yourself of no thought. Silence washes the mind. Doesn't matter. You ever hear that thing fail forward? Maggie's upset because she's been doing this business forever and it hasn't worked. And she's making a little bit of money. She's ready to give up. And now that's become the next thing to blame life on. I tried so hard. I did my hair so well. And still people didn't pay my way. Think about all this service is the deal. Think about the starving people. Think about the pretty ladies who got their face mangled and things. I mean, there's a lot of stuff going on around here. We can just say, wow, I got food in the house. That's cool. I'll go, I don't know if I'll keep it, but that's good. Just be grateful. Be happy, okay? Choose it now. 10 seconds, go. Don't do more. It says in my teaching in that book. I know what you want. One thing, more. I know what you want. One thing, something different. Contentment is the key. That's the key to getting everything too. So that's nice. But you gotta give up everything to have contentment. So it's a funny dance, huh? Contentment means I don't care if I live or die. I'm gonna be content for a moment. And enough torture. A little joy maybe, a little happiness. Forget the world. No breath, no thought. Sigh of relief. You just make the choice to do that. And you want to imitate it and go, okay. Imitate it then. Pretend like an actor. You can pause and be separate from everyone, everything. You can do that. I promise you, if you do, you're going to wind up with all kinds of power. Look at Danielle. She's going to run all on top of Jackson when he comes out because she totally forgot about all that stuff. Now she got the power to manage stuff. Hey, you want some whatever? Hey, you want a sandwich? While she's making him a sandwich, the kid's getting all healed up and changed, doesn't even know what's going on. It's because she forgot about it. That's what we have to do. You got to forget about it. Forget about your meeting with your family and your whatever. Just be okay. much as sleeping is meditation. So go to sleep. You gotta trust it, that the future's gonna be better if you prioritize this. Because it's a real letting go. You don't know if hell or heaven or death or life's gonna happen. So you can trust that no matter what. I used to say in hard times, neither death nor life nor disfigurement nor pain nor loss or gain is gonna stop me. So I guess that if you accept any of those things, then I guess you can relax. Yes. Jesus loves us. All right, that's good for today. Okay. Let me turn off that music. If anybody, a question, comment, it's fine. We'll close out. Babaji. Jules ain't coming back. Okay. Was that worth it, Jules? All that bouncing around to get to somewhere? Maggie, hopeless, forget it. Give it up. I've been hopeless and gave it up years ago. Don't worry. I like to tell people I died years ago. So I guess I don't have to worry about dying. Or did I? Yeah, I did anyway. Openders, what'd you learn? Anything? I'm doing jujitsu with her.
I'm always learning.
What did you learn?
No, there was so much actually. So to be specific, just more about the repetition. And for me, just being reminded of doing the foundation of doing the repetition, doing the 0, 1, 2, 3 ABC. And that's kind of what I learned today. Just really getting back in there, and I had a question earlier, and the question was going to be, but it kind of got answered about, you say about being a child, how when we're children, we're always learning that receptivity, and that it goes away at a certain point. And for me, it was a question, but I got answered how to get back to that. And it feels like getting back to that, being willing to learn, is by doing the steps. Bringing myself back to that.
It's the law and grace dance again. Law is to lead you to grace. Law doesn't do anything in and of itself. So the steps in and of itself are our talks and qigong and nature, and so many different things we did. Actually, they lead you to no cognition and no doing. They lead you to grace. So it's not the steps, it's the steps that lead you to the non-cognitive freedom.
And that's the spaciousness too within, right? Lead you to me, the spaciousness is where the grace can come in.
Yeah.
Is what it
You
feels
can
like.
quantify it that way, and you can say, oh, I feel more spacious now, 10.2%. So after you get done releasing process and you've experienced some level of relaxation, Maggie, you could say, even though my problems aren't solved, I did have some relaxation. I did have some fun with this goofball. I did. And then now you can put those coins in the jar. But if you have the completion idea of I need to understand it all, then you cannot put any, that's the problem of the mind, is that the mind, the cortex is the mind. The amygdala is the center of the brain. That's the emotion. That's where the ears and nose and the eyes meet. So it's all emotion. to get to the emotion, the core of the brain, center of the brain, you need to get through the cortex. We don't do that. We do law only, which means cortex only, thought only. I'm going to understand it. I'm going to pin it. And that's the perpetuation of hell. Because the cortex does not feel emotion. The cortex is a filter of what you want to allow in your subconscious. Now, if you have a lot of shock, you're not allowing anyone into your unconscious and your subconscious. You did that already. And everybody failed you. Mommy, daddy, lover, this, that. So the mind has developed this layer that says, I'm not letting anything into my deep person. And I'll keep my deep person secret from everybody. Start that at 5 years old or somewhere a long time ago. And then therefore you only have cortex, and cortex is this an analytical thing that has one purpose. I'm going to keep everyone and everything out and under control, and I'm going to extract what I need, and I'm going to like that. So if you just surrender, you can start to live with the subconscious and the conscious and the superconscious all together. That would be, as an idea, what enlightenment is. So you're talking to me and you've got your connection to Guru Nanak. It doesn't go somewhere for later tonight. That's, the step that you're at with this stuff is that I got devotion. William reminded me of devotion and I'm doing it. All right, that's good. But it's over there. I want it to be in my face, where you become the Divine Mother, the Amaji, the Enlightened One. You become the Christian witness in doing your job. But the problem with all these words is it's a bunch of funny words and they mean weird things. Christian witness, Amaji. I mean, that sounds like weird stuff, right? But Maggie knows what I mean when I say it, and ordinary stuff. And Nopinder knows what I mean when I say it. But different psychologies, it might mean different things. That's why the My Favorites list is so important. So that the entire life, it says in this one movie, everything becomes a worship. Everything becomes a worship. So you practice particular skills, right? You practice Qigong, yoga, this, that. I practice everything.
Mhm.
That's the devotional life.
Mhm.
You practice every single movement, every single thing. And you're willing to accept the challenge to do this new one and learn this new one. Self-responsibility rather than somebody else going to do it for me. That's the lesson of life, I guess. So everything becomes a worship. It's not, you see, with the beginning level, you go over there to get worship, to get power, to then what? Extract your agenda. But after a while, what you'll learn, if you don't know now, is that there's really no time for it to be over there. You're not going to do a skincare, whatever. You told me, you corrected me. She said, it's not a skincare business the other day. My head was like over the thing. Whatever it is that you're doing, you're doing it because you need to do something, you need to make some money, right? And that's the subject object. No, everything is a worship. It's not, you're not going to do something to get something to put it on top of the frequencies of your mind and body that are disturbed. That won't work. You may, however, be able to get money for a steak, which is very nice. But in the long run, it doesn't work. So when I experienced the extreme losses that I experienced in my life, I had a wonderful crossroads of decision that was like, nothing is more important than my own healing and my own like deep questions in life. I don't care what I have to lose, including my own life. You start to think like that and you make some progress pretty quick. So then whatever business and whatever, it just becomes part of your practice. So it's not subject object anymore. Like I'm going to do this. So you'll even get more buyers and whatever. So it's okay. For the whole idea of self-gain, it's still the best plan. But as long as it's over there, as long as it's a nighttime, I'm going to do this, or, as long as it's like not if you're not who you are, if who you are is a Christian or a Sikh or a New Agey or whatever, who you are, that's what you have to be with your son and your daughter and your whatever in every single moment. I realize that there's no time for me to be anybody else. With Lena, with my family, with you, I don't care what I have to lose. I don't have time. There's no time for it. So just do that. And it just, whatever dance I got to play out here, I still just say, oh, wow, this book, or, this chant, or I don't know, I'm lost. That's what a spiritual person is, a person without a rudder. And you're on the ocean of life and you have no rudder. And if you connect that, accept being lost, accept not knowing, accept having issues, then today is the day where you're born again. Now is the time where you realize nectar of life. You want nectar of life? Now is when you realize that. As soon as you make that decision that if you were to be 95 and dead, what are you going to do between now and 95 and dead? How about if now, if you're interested in Sikh or you're interested in Jesus, or how about if now is what you're doing today? You're doing that today. You're not playing games with people. You're authentic. You're just saying what it is. If you don't know or you're messed up, then that's there too. You do that today. And to hell with what you win and lose. Because you just don't have anything else for now, If you do, it tends to be kind of miraculous. It's just, I don't know, you get the power, I guess, is why it's miraculous. Because you surrender your defense mechanisms and transparency. Yep, okay. I'm so glad we had this time together, just to have a laugh and sing a song. La 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 la, so long. That, anybody know what that is?
Sarah Bonet show?
Yeah, you knew it.
She's great.
70s.
I have a question or comment. I don't know. I noticed that when we get up to start Qigong, that like my stuck map comes up, like all these things start to be really loud. But even so, I have been having some heel pain on my left side. It gets super loud and burning. But even before that was happening, there's a lot of sensation in my feet, and then it calms down. Is that from connecting? Is that from, it's like it gets super loud and I have to acknowledge it and then it calms down. Is that
Sounds right.
Okay.
Yeah, that's what should happen.
Okay.
Now, hopefully you can find a way to be a little on top of it more so it doesn't result in physically observable things and it becomes more subtle. Then you're further away from sickness, you're further away from body problems. With whatever your body situation is, you want to try to have a little more cushion all the time. And the way to do that is to surrender to the psychological issues that are always connected to the physiological stuff. I'm telling you, you can't be the teacher. So go figure it out. And I'm telling you something else. That's the only thing you want to be, is to be the teacher, to be the one that knows. And I hope I just shut you up, that I'm good enough and smart enough. Because if that happens, then you get magic. But it doesn't have to be me. But it's got to be somewhere. It's got to be somebody. I'm trying to share that that's the one problem of the human mind, that we actually don't listen and stuff. We don't be students. No matter what, almost no matter what. So if you find like sage kind of, is that Jackson?
You know it. You know it.
Where is he?
Can I say hi?
All right. Love you all. See, private property, no trespassing. Very good. I will comply. Good. All right. Bless you all. I'll see you first week of next month or second week of next month, something like that.
Have a
Yeah,
good trip.
around there. Thank you.
Have fun in Mexico.
Yeah, gracias, señor.
Adios, amigo.
Adios.
Thank you.